The mechanism begins earlier than the moment of action. It starts when the mind registers that forward movement would require discarding a version of the self that has already been catalogued and defended for years. The person does not need to feel afraid of the new outcome. They only need to feel that the old story would lose its central character if the next step succeeded without resistance. This pattern appears most clearly in the weeks before an irreversible improvement. Someone who has spent years describing themselves as unreliable will suddenly lose documents, miss calls, or generate an argument that consumes the exact window of time required to follow through. The disruption feels external. It rarely is. The timing is too precise to be random. The mind arranges the interference so the person can continue saying they would have succeeded if not for the interference. The same process operates in relationships that begin to stabilize. When closeness stops requiring performance and starts requiring consistency, small conflicts emerge that were absent during the uncertain phase. The person becomes irritable over details that never mattered before. They interpret the irritation as evidence that the relationship is flawed, rather than evidence that their self-description as someone who cannot maintain closeness is being threatened. The relationship ends or cools. The description remains intact. Childhood environments that punished visible change contribute to the pattern, though the mechanism does not require trauma to function. Any setting that rewarded predictability over accuracy will train the mind to treat continuity as safety. Later, the same mind applies this training to adult goals. It treats the possibility of becoming someone new as equivalent to becoming someone unrecognizable, which registers as danger even when the change is desired. Awareness rarely interrupts the sequence. When a person notices they are about to sabotage an opportunity, the observation itself becomes part of the record they must protect. They now carry the additional identity of someone who sees their own patterns, yet still repeats them. This new layer provides fresh material for the same defense. The mind uses the awareness to explain why change remains impossible, rather than to enable it. The cost accumulates in the gap between what the person could have become and what they can still claim to be. Over time, the gap narrows because fewer alternatives remain untested. The known self grows more accurate by default, not because it was chosen, but because every other version was prevented from forming long enough to be compared. You are already locating the exception that keeps this description from applying to your own case. That search is the mechanism locating its next defense. What remains interesting is how little the mind requires to maintain the original record. A single postponed decision, one reframed failure, or a distraction accepted without question is often enough. The system does not need dramatic reversals. It only needs the outcome to stay consistent with the story that was already written. The person then experiences the result as fate rather than arrangement. I am draven. The pattern continues. It always does. Follow. The patterns do not stop here.